Lisa.
Hi, Alex. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Be Sober podcast.
Indeed. I don't know what else to say to that. Oh, we need to stop just bursting into laughter the moment we see each other. Why do we do that?
I don't know. It's because we're nervous. We get anxious and nervous.
Do you reckon?
Yeah. I feel weird because I'm sat somewhere different.
So, you look like you sat the same.
No, I'm normally sat at my breakfast bar and I've moved everything to my table.
Oh, so you're just a bit further back?
Yeah, but I feel like just weird that like my legs are under the like dead straight.
You think I look girly today, Lisa?
You look like you've been to church.
I have.
You've definitely taken on the church look.
Do you know what my dad used to say to me when, like, years ago? Oh, why do you look like a teacher? I don't know. What does a teacher look like? Because I am a teacher.
Yeah, you kind of like mould into your role. So, you know, when I worked for Slimming World, I started wearing like all these crazy dresses.
Yeah, you also started eating chippy in secret.
Yeah, that is true. But no, I moulded in, like, you found that when I used to go to the Slimming World training, people would wear all these, like, I can't remember what, like Lindy Bop and stuff like that, dresses and special high heels, you know, with like patterns and flowers and stuff on them.
Oh, funny.
I know, well, I didn't think I'd ever dress like that. And before I knew it, I was waltzing into a Slimming World group with a blue dress on with unicorns and fucking rainbows on it.
Well, I guess it's different for when I'm doing my PTing because I've got to look like a PT. But yeah,
I've got your PT look today.
Do you reckon? Oh, you got leggings on?
Yeah, because I've got my gym stuff on and I'm going after this.
Well, I look churchy because I've just been at a funeral, playing at a funeral. Which is always really hard, right? But some are harder than others because, like, this was the funeral of the wife of somebody who works at the church.
Oh,
and although I didn't know her, I could see him and it was really hard. And I'd like watching him go through it. And then you go through all your own deaths in your family and all that and start reliving those emotions. And then you've got to play a hymn with like tears all in your face and that. I never really like accounted for the fact that I'd have to do that.
Yeah, but no one can see you. You're up with God, aren't you?
I mean, I can't see the music. I don't care about crying in front of people. It's just that I'm bleary-eyed. I couldn't see what I was doing.
Oh, yeah, it is sad.
Yeah, it feels exhausting as well. I know you've had a busy time this last week, which we'll go into as well, but I've had a busy time at church because obviously it's coming up to Easter now and everything's ramping up. And you know, I always put my foot in it. I'll tell you something funny again now. I always put my foot in it at this time of year. I don't know why I do it. I even know in my mind I'm doing it, but I do it to be a little bit like outrageous, I think.
Yeah.
So a couple of years ago, for the first time I had the choir, they were rehearsing this song and they just kept getting it wrong and wrong and wrong. And I didn't do this one on purpose, to be fair. And then they got it right. And I went, and bearing in mind it's right near Easter, and I think I've told this on the podcast before, I went, nailed it. And then was like, I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, you know, like stuff like that. And I say things like this all the time, but, and I sometimes do them a little on purpose, just push it. But this week, they've got at the church this giant cutout of Jesus, right? He's about 8 feet tall. And we've got one at Christmas and one at Easter. And the one at Christmas says joy. And he's stood there with his arms outstretched. And the one at Easter says hope. And they have the O. There's two funny stories here. They have the O covered with a boulder. Not a real boulder. It's all like plywood.
Yeah.
And then on Easter Sunday, the boulders rolled out and Jesus is stood there. So first of all, the first funny story is I was telling the story I'm about to tell you now at Be Fit. And I said, and there's a boulder over the O. And Sarah, our coach from, and our ambassador, thought I'd said it had a vulva covering it. Obviously, no. Boulder. That's my northern accent. But anyway, so they're all lay out at the back of church. So the letters for hope and Jesus. on the way in, I saw him lay there. He's on a table. I walked in, did my choir practice. And then on the way out, you have to turn the lights out and then walk the width of the church. And as I walked past, Jesus felt my bum. And I went, oh, Jesus has just touched my bum. And like, nobody thought it was funny at all.
No, they didn't.
Honestly, they didn't find it funny at all. Like a couple of people you heard like who are quite naughty with the humour anyway did, but everyone else was just really disapproving.
Oh, that's funny. I always find it really hard. You know, the other day I did a sound bath in a church hall.
Yeah.
And normally I do it at the courthouse near me, but I'd gone to this church hall and I've never been before. It was the first time I'd gone there and I had to go like all these flights of stairs. And I didn't realise until I got home, because I had so much stuff, that the lady that had let me in and the one out, I got in the car afterwards and I was like, oh no, I've done it again. And I realised how many times I'd said, God, like, oh my God, or, you know, like, and it reminded me of like my friend Katie, her mum goes to church all the time. And every time I used to go to Katie, she'd be like, right, Lisa, don't say God. And I'm like, I don't ever say it. Why do you always say that?
Oh,
she's like, oh, don't say Jesus. And I'm like, why would I say it? And what I've realised that I do is instead of saying fuck or something like that, I try and like minimalize it. So I say God or Jesus instead, because I think that's not,
because they're not words you use normally, because you just say fuck. Yeah, I get it.
So I end up deliberately saying God or Jesus, and then not, and I didn't realize until I got in the car on the way home, and I was like, oh my God.
I take on other people's things with this, right? So
how many times did I say that?
Well, I go running with the vicar and Callum, and when other people come with us, I take on, because he never challenges it. If somebody says, oh God, or oh Jesus, or whatever, he'll just let it go. I'm sure it does make him uncomfortable, but he also wants to be able to be relatable by the average person. So he doesn't pick everybody up on it all the time. But I take it on and I hear him going, God, and oh my God, and oh Jesus. And I'm like, oh. So I feel now like probably Katie did when you were doing that.
Yeah.
I've got a Jewish friend, and I told her the story about, and she's like talking to me a lot about their traditions, and she asked me a lot about Christianity and stuff like that. And I told her the story about Jesus touching my bum, and she sent me a message later on in the night at like 10:30, and it was like, she said, will Jesus be feeling you up tonight? ? Friday night sex is a mitzvah for Jewish people. So I looked up, because obviously I didn't want to sound stupid. I didn't know what a mitzvah was. Yeah. But it's like an obligation. It's a religious obligation. Friday night sex. Who knew?
What, they have to have it?
Yeah, apparently for Jewish people. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's an obligation. Well, what if they've not got a partner? Can they go it alone?
I don't know.
Like, is it an obligation within a Jewish marriage?
It must be within a marriage, mustn't it?
I wonder who thought of that obligation.
Probably a Jewish man.
I bet it was as well. Like, you can't make that an obligation.
Yeah, well, you do. It is. I looked it up because I wanted to know what a mitzvah was.
Was she like joking? It's not really an obligation.
Well, I didn't ask her. I didn't. No, it is one. It is one. I looked up. Is that true? And it is a mitzvah. It is the truth, is what she said. But I didn't ask her whether she honours it.
No. Well, I suppose I would want to know that now. I didn't think I would, but
I'm not telling Sam. He'll be like, convert.
I just think as an obligation, it'd take all the fun out of it. Like, try telling me that I've got to have sex on a Friday. Like, no, I don't. Watch me do it on a Thursday or a Sunday.
Oh, I was talking about you this morning. That's your pathological avoidance, whatever it's called. Demand avoidance, isn't it? I was talking about you this morning, actually, because it came up at BFit, not about you specifically, but about it. And I said, oh, Lisa has that. And they were like, but a lot of people didn't know what it was. I said, well, basically, if you tell her to do something, she'll just do the opposite.
And we've spoke about this before on here. It's not like a purpose thing. It's not like I'm trying to be dead awkward.
No, I know.
It's just everything physically in your body says, I'm not doing that.
Well, it's a good job you're not Jewish then, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I suppose if I'd been told to be a certain way, I probably wouldn't have been, would I?
Well, I don't know. Maybe you'd have just been like, I'm not doing. Maybe you'd just be the same, but have a different label on you in terms of what your religion was. But maybe you'd still be the same, and then you'd be like criticised perhaps for being somebody who doesn't do it. Or you just have to get with a non-Jewish person who didn't think the same way, or just more relaxed. Because I'm pretty sure there must be different degrees of like faith, like there is in every religion, where some people go, I believe in God, but they don't go to church. Well, I'm sure that some people are sort of Jewish, but they're not Jewish. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
definitely.
There must be.
Yeah.
I'm quite interested in religions at the minute.
No shit.
No, I find them fascinating. I do. I find them really fascinating. Like, isn't it weird? Don't you think things like that are weird? Like you're told to believe in something in a certain way and then do all these rituals and then you go ahead and do them. It's weird, isn't it? Like, who said you have to pray? Who said you have to do that? That's
I know.
All like man-made, isn't it?
Yeah. It's all organised, isn't it? It's I find it really difficult because everybody kind of has the same, like they believe the same.
Yeah.
But then it's all spread out into different organisations and other people add what they want you to do. So like some religions, you've got to have sex on a Friday night.
Yeah.
Other ones,
the worst tradition in the world, to be fair.
Yeah, but I just find organised religion myself really difficult.
It is difficult
to kind of grasp and get my head around. And you know what I really, really struggle with any, and even like with yours, and I'm sorry for anybody listening, but I do really, really struggle with that people will go to church and we'll talk about God and Jesus and everybody else and this miracle that, he healed people and about sacrifices and all of these things and Mary being a virgin and all that. But if that did happen today, all those people that are going to church would not believe it. They wouldn't. I'm sorry. If Jesus stood up in front of them and said, I'm the Jesus of 2025, and he was stood there right in front of them, I don't think they believe it. And I think if a young girl walked in and said, I'm pregnant, but I'm a virgin, and I really am, I promise, I don't think they believe her. I think they'd get her tested. And it annoys me.
They can now, can't they?
What?
They can now, can't they? So we'll never know the full truth. That's the point of faith, I guess, where you just go, and accept it.
Yeah.
Or
and
is it good
know until you know. Like, I think these spiritual experiences, and I really, really do believe that. And I think what's gorgeous and lovely about religion and churches is the community aspect of it.
And the beautiful places out there, the peaceful, meditative places.
And I think it's lovely to be able to go somewhere and have the quiet and feel safe and know that kind of everybody's on the same page, and the community side of it, I do think is really nice and how much they support each other. But it's the rules about it all. You've got to think this way and you've got to believe this. And I find that really, really difficult.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of open conversation in my church. I can't speak for others because I don't know. But I suppose that's why I'm quite drawn to it, because you can say, oh, I'm not sure what I think, and start. And they even have like little groups where you can go and ask questions, and coffee evenings and stuff like that where you can go and ask. So I quite
like that. Yeah. And is that like without judgment as well?
Yeah,
you can kind of ask these questions and
Yeah, it's not like, and there's no, you're going to get smited for asking the question. It's not like that. So I don't know. Maybe not every church is like that, though. I don't know.
Well, will you ask them then what they'd think if a young girl walked in and said that she was
there are
a
definitely
virgin?
People I can ask. There are definitely people I can ask. Yeah, I'll ask.
Even like the angels bit. Like I spoke to you about this the other day.
Yeah.
that like during my Reiki session, not Reiki, in my sound bath sessions, I have 2 people that help me out that offer angelic healing, which is very much like Reiki, the energy, but they use like the angels. Yeah, they call on their angels. And I just find it really hard that like places like churches disagree with stuff like that, yet they believe that people followed and listened to the angels to go find Jesus. I just find it really difficult to understand. And I just wish everybody, all religions were just a little bit more open-minded about.
Yeah, that's a good question though, isn't it? About like, what if somebody said they were speaking to the angels? Why would you not believe it? That's quite a good question. I'm going to ask someone.
Yeah, I would like you to do that, because there's people that do work with them. But yeah, did you say the guest is here?
Yeah, he's here. It's called Chris. I'm going to let him in.
Thank God for that.
I know we've had a bit of a do, haven't we? But that's another day's story. Yeah. Right, he's coming in, hopefully. This is always the weird quiet bit, isn't it? That I feel it's not quiet.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. We're here. Hi, Chris.
Hello, hi. How are you? You all right?
Yeah, good.
Hi,
thank you.
Chris.
Finally, I'm like, one reason or another, we a third time lucky. That's all I'm going to say. Third time lucky.
Me being naff and then you being naff and then we're all naff together and we finally got our asses in gear, so it's fine.
I'm going to say the only one who hasn't been naff on this occasion was Lisa, because I didn't put it in the properly and it was so, yeah, I'm going to let her off.
Okay, so I can tar you with that brush, Lisa.
We used to be tarring me with your naff brush.
Chris, let's start with, we have done no introduction. Let's start with you telling everybody a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Sure, yeah. So my name's Chris Banks. I'm CEO and founder of Not Saints, which is the world's only sobriety and recovery-based record label. So we work with people who have kind of had enough of the trappings and the pitfalls and the kind of old school hedonism of the music industry and kind of want to have a different experience that kind of doesn't revolve around partying. It actually just puts music and kind of holistic well-being at the kind of heart of everything we do. So we're very community focused and we do a lot around we just really support people to kind of have a music, to support their musical endeavors in an industry that really doesn't necessarily support a sober lifestyle or those in recovery as well. So we set up in 2018, so we've been running for just coming up 7 years. We have done about 150, probably more, I've lost count, songs worldwide on streaming platforms. We've done hundreds of sober space events, worked on everything from festivals in markets to small coffee shop endeavours to right up to the UK recovery walk in Crystal.
Did we lose him?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a little bit blurry, so I think the signal might be bad anyway.
Might have gone out a little bit. Oh no, I hate things like this.
I know, you know what's really annoying? You can cut this bit out on the audio.
No, I won't do. All right, I won't cut it out.
But this bit goes out on the... No, yeah, you can do, but this bit goes out on the YouTube.
No, I'm not going to cut it out. I'm going to leave us in talking. That's what I'm going to do. And hopefully Chris will unfreeze at some point.
Yeah, come back, Chris.
What questions do you want to know so far? I want to know how we came up with the idea.
But no, I said to you, let's ask him how he came up with the idea.
Right. So that's not my idea.
This is why, right? I've got a load of questions here and I've kept the lot. And this is what I'm starting to do now.
Go
back.
So I think you were going to say Crystal Palace. Were you going to say Crystal Palace?
I got to, yeah. So we were at the recovery walk. So we've done everything from small marketplaces all the way up to, Crystal Palace Park. It was a very hot Saturday afternoon last September in front of 2,500 people. Or nearly 3,000, I think it was.
Oh, wow.
we've done a great deal, and it's been amazing. And we've just launched a whole educational strand, so we're now able to offer event management training to various charities, and we also do songwriting workshops as well to kind of frontline drug and alcohol services, but also kind of sober community groups as well. So we're very, very busy and have been for a very long time, and I'm very tired.
Are you all in recovery or sober as well, or is that not the case?
We are all the team and the directors. So one of our directors isn't in recovery and does enjoy a bottle of wine, but is representative of kind of what it's like to have a family member who has a problematic relationship with alcohol. Okay. And then we have the rest of the directors, including myself. We're all in recovery, whatever your definition of recovery might be. So I was actually at a conference on Monday, and we were talking about the definition of what recovery actually was, and it's such a kind of catch-all, and I think in so many circles it's quite a bad word. Like people still stick a lot, but I guess for us is we use the word sobriety and recovery as an interchangeable thing, because it's like if you found sobriety, you've just decided it's alcohol's not for me, it's not improving my life, then you've found a form of recovery that works for you. It's like you've removed that thing from your life, and so now you're living a sober lifestyle. So so we're basically peer led. So we're everybody's sober, everybody's having a jolly old time. So I would consider myself in recovery. I do a 12-step fellowship. Mish, who works for the label and is also one of the artists on the label, she would call herself in recovery, but she's also sober. She doesn't drink, and she doesn't kind of do anything other than just not drink. So it's kind of we have a few artists on the label who are like that. We kind of opened our doors. We started off just being solely focused on kind of abstinence-based recovery way back when, and then we were like, well, actually, everybody. If you're sober, you still have the same requirements as someone who's in recovery. It's just, you don't want to be going out, getting beer chucked over you and all that jazz. It's like, can we do things in a slightly different way? So we kind of opened up parameters when we were kind of realizing that we were probably stigmatizing things ourselves in a weird way. So, yeah.
Yeah,
we did similar, didn't we, in a way? But it was a bit more accidental. So like we have, initially we'd said you had to be 30 days sober to come on our events. And then we'd sort of said, well, why? If somebody wants to live sober, we need to show them what it's like to live sober. So we let people in who want to be sober.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. We've always had an open door policy. So all our educational programs are open to people who are either wanting to be sober curious, looking to get sober, looking to get into recovery, whatever your framework of how you perceive it. And I think this is the thing, is like, so much emphasis is put on, are you sober or are you in recovery? And it's like, well, does it really matter? Like the fact is your needs are very similar, and how you label, do we want to be labeled? Do we have to label ourselves? And if we do we have to define that label with such strict parameters, or can we just go, hey, we're all in this together, let's just have a laugh?
Yeah, I like that, because I actually do like a label now. I think it helps you find your people. Do you know what I mean? I know some people.
And you were really against labels, weren't you, at one point? Or you didn't like them at one point?
No, I think so.
Well, I feel like you were. Anyway, that's
I like a label because I do feel that it helps you find your people, and I think what you're doing is really such a good idea. But what was your inspiration behind it?
Oh God! So I worked in the music industry for about 16, 17 years. I had started off as a musician way back in my teens, and kind of had gone through the whole touring all over the place and recording and releasing records and doing residency gigs and stuff like that. And the whole time, alcohol, drugs, they were always present in my life, and I missed out on an awful lot of great opportunities, and probably made some terrible, terrible choices as a result of alcohol and drugs. And so when I was obviously my addictions kind of started to take hold, and when I was 35, I decided to go to a community detox. So I would go every day and just get detoxed, and started doing kind of community groups around how to find abstinence and all that stuff. And I kind of came out of that thinking that my career in music was over. Previously I'd worked as a booking agent, a tour manager, I'd had various sort of music industry jobs, and nothing had ever really taken off as a proper career path. And I kind of thought, oh, great, well, now I'm sober, I can have a career, but I can't have a career in that because that is the music industry. That's where everybody, that's where everybody goes to get messed. So I kind of, I stepped away from it. I went and worked as doing house clearance of all things for about 6 months, and bumped into a friend of mine who I'd met when I was drinking and using. And he was like, look, I've always loved the way you carry yourself and the way you talk about music in such a passionate way. I run a booking agency. Why don't you come and work for me and like just do 2 days a week? So I went and started working for him, and 2 days a week became 6 days a week, and it turned into 70 hours a week. And initially I started off not going to gigs. Then I went to the gigs and really saw for the first time kind of how drinking drugs was such a big part of the whole industry, even if it was the bands kind of having a joint after a sound check and then going in and getting their free beers and stuff. And I mean, we did one thing, a private corporate event up at a country house here in Sussex, and walked into the backstage, into the green room, and the bar staff were offering cocktails like Long Island iced teas to the band before they went on stage. And it's like, that's got 12 shots of neat alcohol in it. What are you doing?
Oh my God.
But it's the hospitality side of things. So I kind of saw all that, and basically in 2018 found myself between jobs, and I was looking at the kind of music industry, and I went to a conference down here in Brighton, and it just really hit home. I was my first time I'd been to this conference sober. I'd been many years in a row as a kind of professional and drinking and going to all the networking parties and stuff like that. And then I went sober, and I was like, this is rubbish. Like, unless you drink, there is nothing here for you.
Yeah.
And it was really shocking. And so I was sitting in one of the panels, and I was miserable. I'd spent like nearly 300 quid on a ticket for this conference. I was like, this is the biggest waste of my time, and really thought that was me done in the music industry. And then the idea just landed. It was just like, well, don't sit here just moping about it. Do something about it. Be the, was it the Martin Luther King? Be the change you want to see. So yeah. I ran around and very quickly got a business plan together in about 3.5 minutes, and I went running around to any grant body that I could find, going, "Please, will you help us get this thing off the ground?" And we did a crowdfunder to start with, which is the worst experience of my life. Hate crowdfunding. If anybody's ever done it, it's probably the most stressful thing you'll ever do. And I've got kids. And then we were off and running, and we started off with a couple of singles, and that was it. But that's kind of how we got to it. It was just through really my own experience and looking at others around me who were incredible musicians who were just coming into recovery or getting sober and going, well, what do I do now? I don't want to go.
And it's a big industry that needs that as well, because just a tiny bit of history. But my dad was a singer for years, and he's no longer alive. We've had the conversation a billion times on here, but he's years and years and years as a singer and a musician, right through the 60s. In fact, from the early 50s into the 60s. Carried on. They owned pubs, him and my mum. He did a lot of touring, playing the guitar, and it was club after club. I remember sitting in dressing rooms, with my lemonade, and it was pint after pint after pint. And like you say, they were all on stage, probably pissed. And then they'd be driving to the next place, and then they'd be pissed again. And it'd just be on and on it went. And my dad ended up in his 50s having to go sober. And nobody was. That was like, I don't know, 2012 or I can't remember, 2002, sorry, I can't remember the date. It was way back. And nobody was sober, and especially not in that industry. And he found it incredibly challenging. And the only time he actually got free of it was when he went out to America and did some stuff in Nashville. And there, the culture's just a little bit different, and not everybody is pissed. They might be stoned, but they're not pissed. And he found that he could do it again. He had a newfound joy, and honestly, he would have loved. Wouldn't he have loved at least what Chris is doing?
Absolutely.
He'd been all over it. Yeah, he loved it.
That's great.
Do you think there's like a particular type of music genre or vibe that resonates with people in recovery? Do you have like all different types of musicians come on? Like, do you think there's something that?
We've worked with so many different people over the years. And we've got everything from like really hardcore drum and bass DJs to hard techno to kind of like on the books. And we don't really do dance music because we tend to work with kind of studio musicians, but we've had so many DJs come to us that we've almost got like a recovery DJ agency on the side. And it's like, if anyone goes, have you got a DJ that can play house? It's like, yeah, sweet, I've got so-and-so. But I think everything, we've got a punk band on the label. We've got a klezmer inspired folk band who play, with an accordion and a double bass, and it's incredible. Sort of gypsy jazz sort of vibe. And then we've got everything through to kind of alternative rock. So, we've worked with hip hop artists and electro artists in the past. So I think it's whatever your vibe, really. I think that the beautiful thing about music is it's an incredible conduit. And I think the one thing that everyone sort of really surprises people when they get sober is that for a lot of us, music came first. And then the drinking came, and then the drugging came, and then the problems came, if they came, or if you just decided to get sober. And then we go through this transition when we come into the sobriety, where it's like you start to rediscover the music, and then things like, well, how do I dance sober? Like that's always a big one, isn't it? Like, how do I dance?
Oh, it's awful. It's so uncomfortable at first.
I was sober 2 years, and I went to my sister's wedding, and I was just like, oh, I'm going to have to do it. But I'd been to like events, and I was just like, I'm going to have to dance. It's my sister's wedding. And I just did it, and it was amazing. But it's that thing, we have to learn to re-love music again. So I think that small person that fell in love with music when you were like, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, or dancing around my mum's skirts while she was cooking Sunday dinner to Whitney Houston or Dire Straits or Queen or whatever it was, that little boy, music was with me all the way through it. So kind of getting sober, music's still there at the end. So whatever I fell in love with back then is obviously going to be with me now. So I think in terms of genre, I think it's all encompassing, it's all inclusive, because the music for all of us was there first, regardless of what you actually like and what genre it was.
I love that. Have you ever been kind of dead surprised by what somebody's come in and wanted to do music-wise?
Oh, I've been surprised by the quality of what we've received. So we had an artist come to us a few years back, and he doesn't work with us anymore. He kind of wanted to go and do his own thing. But a guy called Little Tea Leaf, and he had basically he'd done music in the UK, been in a folk band, and then took himself off to France and lived in Paris for 10 years. Moved back to England during the pandemic and was making this incredible kind of like dark electro. He called it glum pop. It was kind of this dark French-inspired electro, but he was an incredible guitar player, played guitar like Prince, and it was just like, so it's this mishmash of like incredible guitar with these amazing French electronic beats, and it was just kind of with these dark synth tones in there as well. And I was like, this is nuts. Like, you're a heroin addict and an alcoholic. Like, how have you made this? But yeah, so I think that's the shocking thing. And I think that is the real thing about Not Saints. And I've sort of said it from the very, very beginning. It's like, I think when you hear about a kind of sobriety-based record label, everyone expects you to be a little bit kumbaya. And I think, we're just not that. We came out back in 2018. Our first single was an incredible single by Jim Trickster. He's not recording artist anymore, but he did a single with us. And he'd been quite prolific in Brighton back in the day. And we took his record to Metropolis Studios up in London and paid a lot of money to have it mastered and got all the artwork together. And we put it out as this quality piece of music. And I think that's the thing, is we've always just strove I don't know, for quality. I try to achieve quality wherever we can, and it's and that's the thing. And I think that's the thing that shocks everyone about Not Saints, is the fact that you kind of come to us and we're of a certain caliber that we just go, yeah, this is what we do. That said, we work with anybody, so even if you're rough as hell, we'll still kind of take you on and develop you and help you get to a point where we've got a new artist, Half Measures, and he's basically this street
I'm loving
drinking.
All these names.
I like the names. Tea Leaf and Half Measures.
Like tea bag and
Tea Leaf, not bag.
Like, not tea bag, not tea bag.
No, tea leaf.
That's a whole different
tea bagging.
That's a whole different podcast, that one, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. But Half Measures, he was a street drinking kid, and he was just like, he's playing acoustic guitar on the street. And he's now, over the last year and a half, we've just been developing and putting him on little stages, big stages, getting him to a point where he's comfortable with his music, comfortable with himself. His songs have really come together. His styles really come together. And we put him in the studio. He started recording last Friday. So he spent a whole day in the recording studio. First ever time he'd been in a recording studio. But we were like, look, we've worked with you. We've got you to this point. You can do this now. So, building his confidence, building his self-belief, and going, right, let's make some music, man.
So as well as recording in a studio, do you put people out on the stage live as well? Then is that part of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we essentially operate like a booking agency as well. So if anybody is running a sober event and they ring us up and they go, we want some music, we can send a band or a solo act or a DJ or whatever it might be. So with the Recovery Walk last year, we provided 5 acts, and they played on the Rusty Laptop in Crystal Palace Park. And we've done events with Bristol Drugs Project. So we did an event. We do their recovery festival every year as well. So yeah, we essentially and we do our own events. And not as many as we used to, but we do our own events as well. So we kind of do some showcase stuff here in Brighton and get everybody kind of along. And
I love that. I really want to do an event now. So
I want to do an event. Where's your reach right now then? So you're mainly based in the Southwest now?
We're national, so we're happy to. Yeah, I mean, obviously we have fees attached, so we can't send somebody for nothing. And we always expect our artists to be paid because we are a professional outfit as well.
Yeah.
We're essentially national. So we're working with a few charities in the north of England at the moment. So we're looking at, I'm in Nottingham in a few weeks, delivering some event management training. And then we're over to Bristol to do some training in next week or the week after, I think.
You need to get in touch with NACOA. They do events and they're based in Bristol.
Oh, are they? Who's that? Sorry?
They're the National Association for Children of Alcoholics, and you should get in touch with them. They do a lot of fundraising stuff. They recently had an Amy Winehouse tribute gig put on to raise money for the charity and so on. You definitely need to get in touch with them.
So we actually set up Bristol Sober Spaces. So the organisation Bristol Sober Spaces. So they obviously do a lot of. They do like a monthly open mic night, but they also do ticketed events as well. So I think they're doing their first ever metal night in May. So we work really closely with them. So they wanted us to come over and do some training over there. So so we're going to do that. But at
the end when we're off here, I'll give you the name of a contact. She lives in Brighton as well. So for NACOA, she might be able to sort of, because I know she did, like I say, she did the event. So, but I'll give you the name of her at the end. Hang on.
Do you ever have to kind of support some of these artists? Because obviously with everybody being in recovery, I'm just thinking about like relapses or people struggling. What do you do when it comes to that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we have to treat everything on a case by case basis, really. It's not, because I think sobriety / recovery, however you frame it, it's not really like a one size fits all thing. So we've had artists who have literally, they've just made a stupid mistake and they've rung me up the next day and gone, I've been an idiot. Like I'm going to sort this out, blah, 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 and go off and fix it. Or some people we had one artist come to us, and I'm not going to name them, but he basically decided that he wasn't going to drink anymore, but he really wanted to do ketamine. So I was like, okay, well, that puts us in a situation, so doesn't it? And he was like, I know that, but it's a decision I've made. I can't give up everything, and I've decided I want to carry on doing ketamine. And I was like, mate, okay, whatever floats your boat, but so we had to part ways there. So an artist, if it's genuinely a mistake and they've just fallen off the wagon and they really want to get back into the kind of the sober lifestyle and back into the kind of the swim the right lane, then of course we'll support them, and we've got connections everywhere. To signpost people back into treatment if they need it, or even just to kind of wrap around people. We're very adept at kind of just checking in and kind of going, "Are you okay? What's happening? Keep talking to us. Keep communicating." Because that isolation is addiction, and it's really, really important that we just keep those communication channels open. We've got an artist that we've been working with since 2020, middle of the pandemic. We met him, and he's just consistently keeps relapsing, and it's like, and he goes away and he does rehab for 6 months, and he comes back and he's like, are we still here? And I'm like, yes, we're still here, the door's still open, come on in, you come. And he'll come in for 3 months, and then he just can't seem to quite get his head around that fact, but yeah, needless to say, we're always here for him and supporting him where we can. So yeah,
I think that's brilliant. And I think people that come to you as well, I suppose it's a little bit of accountability for them. It probably really helps knowing that they're signing with you and that's the kind of label you are.
I think that's a really important thing, actually. And it's the thing that I don't talk about enough, which is the fact that, the way we operate, if someone comes to us and says, I really want to work with you guys, the first thing I say to them is, if you're here for £1 million, go away, because you're not going to make £1 million quid. No quid in music anymore. And the second thing is that, our commitment to the people that we work with is that we will go and find the funding to work with you. We'll go and find those budgets. We'll get our money together. We will support you creatively in everything you want to do. And you have almost entirely creative freedom as long as you're not being a complete maniac. But the thing we ask from the people we work with is that whatever you do to stay sober and whatever got you sober, you keep doing that. That's it. And that's not even a commitment to us. That's a commitment to themselves. Yeah. And then we'll support them creatively. So it's like, we really don't ask for anything apart from just their ongoing commitment to their own well-being, which is a pretty easy ask, really.
Yeah.
This is a bit off topic, but I can't not say it. What's the weirdest musical instrument that you've ever had brought to you?
Oh God, it's probably when we started working with Mishkin. So Mishkin's been around the Brighton music scene for years, and she's really well known from a band called Birdie's Baby. And in that band, she played piano, and she's like really kind of quite prolific as a pianist and teaches piano as well. And so when she came and said, "Oh, I want to start working with you guys," I was like, "Amazing! This incredible, Gothic cabaret piano, like Tori Amos kind of vibe with elements of kind of all this mad Gothic stuff in there." And I was like, "This is going to be fantastic! It's going to be fantastic!" And she brought me this record, and it was accordion. It was accordion music, and she was like, "This is where the klezmer folk stuff comes in." So it's really Eastern European sounding, and I was like, so she turned up to do a showcase gig with us, and I do the sound when we do a small gig. I'm quite good at it, and I was like, looked at this accordion, I'm like, no idea. Like, I don't know how to sound check this. I don't know what to do with it. How many buttons? It's got something like 600 buttons or something.
What do all those buttons do? Yeah, my dad used to have one years ago. I don't think he could play it, but we used to nick it.
I know. There's this keyboard. It's got 22 keys, and then all these mad black buttons on the side that operate the bass. I don't know. But yeah, the weirdest instrument ever, really. And then you get really odd tech setups, one of our bands, punk band called Daffodildos. So they're a queer vegan punk band. And they, I don't know, can I say that on here? I think I can say it.
Yeah, whatever you want on here. We don't care.
So they turned up to their own showcase gig with a broken guitar. So I had to back off the guitar and was isolating circuits with electrical tape before they went on stage. So yeah, weird as weird gets, really. It's I don't know.
That is crazy, isn't it? I love it though.
It is weird. So who are you working with now? What's kind of the people you're working with right now, and what are you doing?
Oh, crikey. So we've just had, Mishkin's just been out on tour. So Mishkin went out on tour with a band called Velveteen Orchestra, who we are hopefully going to be working with in the very, very near future. We're trying to get some funding together at the moment to work with them. They are incredible, Velveteen Orchestra. They are literally like Six Music. They're just, Six Music will love them. XFM will love them. They're just kind of neo-noir, kind of indie pop sort of stuff, and just absolutely incredible, and definitely want to work with them. So Mish just did a tour with them. But yeah, go and check out Mishkin Fitzgerald and the Chemical Barrels and Velveteen Orchestra. Beautiful bands. Hannah Prana is one of ours. She just came back off a tour of the north of England. So did everywhere from, kind of Oldham all the way up to Newcastle, Scotland, and kind of back down again. And then we've got Daffodildos. We've just optioned them for their second record. We've got Half Measures is going in for his first debut EP at the moment. So yeah, lots of stuff happening. So yeah.
Well, that's amazing. And you mentioned events. So you do events and you do education. They're the other two elements. So what does that tell us what an event looks like, what you might do in an event?
So event stuff. So at the moment we're plugged into Essex Recovery Festival. So we're working with them for the second year in a row. So they're hosting their second festival, and that's at Lambourne End in August. Lambourne End in Romford. And then we tend to sort of do our own events quite ad hoc. So we've got the Duke of York Cinema have just expressed an interest in doing a kind of sober event here in Brighton. So that's about 600 capacity venue. So we're looking at probably doing a Sunday afternoon matinee kind of vibe with them, and we may partner with some of our friends over at Mash Gang and see if they want to do something with us, maybe a co-sponsorship thing. And then so but the events themselves can vary everything. So with the Essex Recovery Festival, we've got a DJ tent going in. There's a creative space with a beatboxer, and then we've got a main stage which is kind of going to be a lot of folk and kind of pop and hip hop.
Sober Glastonbury, isn't it? Sober Glastonbury.
It is, yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Much cooler. So yeah, so that's going to be.
That's what we should do. we should team up and do a sober Glastonbury, but not in Glastonbury.
It'd be amazing. Actually, so years back there was a company called Rock Sober. I don't know if you guys ever came across them.
Yeah,
we know them. Yeah.
So they were going to do a big thing at Headcorn Aerodrome in Kent, and I think it was like 25,000 people, and it was going to there's like Supergrass booked to headline, and then it just kind of all really fell apart really, really quickly. It just became
they had to stop doing what they were doing for one thing and another. They just weren't getting the funding that they needed. But we actually did in back in the early days when we started, we actually did a big podcast with them. Do you remember, Lise?
Yeah, we did. Was that part of the sober sessions?
Yeah.
On the sober session.
Yeah. And they were lovely. Both, well, we met two of them and they were lovely guys. Yeah. Lovely guys.
Yeah, I mean, I chatted with them both online and got on really, really well with them. And they had a business partner who was like a silent partner who we got on really well with.
Yeah, the third guy. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, but unfortunately, because we were booked to kind of work on that all the way through, like, until
they were like Hell's Angels of the sober world, weren't rock sober. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, doing amazing stuff.
Did they know that Roxy as well? Is she
Roxy or Rory?
Rory, that's it. Rory.
Yeah.
And they were Sober Dave's mates. That's how we met.
It was through Sober Dave. Yeah.
So I think that's still
have you had like a favourite success story in your time of doing this?
I think it's just, for me, is the fact that we're still here doing what we do. I think it is Not Saints in its thing. I mean, the artists that we work with are incredible, and but for me personally, the fact that I started this thing was just a mad idea that I had. And the fact that we did that crowdfunder, and I honestly thought we'd last 6 months, and then I'd have to go and get a proper job. And the fact is that we're still here like 7 years later. I have this complete, like, I'm going to get found out any moment. I
get what you mean. We feel like that a bit sometimes with Be Sober, It was like, it's what just started as like a crazy idea. And then when we get asked to go, like I've been asked to go on an interview on a podcast tomorrow. And honestly, I feel like a complete fake. I'm going to go, and I just think, well, I don't know how it's got like this. It just has.
It's awful when we turn up to something and people are like, "Oh, it's you two! Like you found it," and we're both like, "We're just normal people. Leave us alone."
I was on the Believe in People podcast the other week. I don't know if you know those guys over in Hull, and they amazing. They have this thing of like, they just don't know anything about the guests that are coming on, and so you just go on.
Neither do we, really.
Yeah, that's like us.
Clearly, but they paid for me to go all the way to Hull. It was like £200 train fare and a hotel and food. And they were just like, and then just coming and do it. And I'm sort of like, even walking up to this place, I was just like, I feel like a complete fraudster. But I've been in recovery nearly 9 years, so I must be doing something right. And
that's amazing.
It is amazing.
Do you think it kind of keeps you a little bit more accountable by doing what you do?
Oh God, yeah. So when we first started, my sponsor, so I have a sponsor in 12 Steps, and he turned around to me and he went, you can't pick up a drink or a drug ever again. I went, what do you mean? And he went, you can't. You've wrapped yourself around. This life wrapped around you. You literally have no choice. Like, and it's true. And whether that was deliberate or by accident, it's worked out really well. I've got a really good life today. I've gone from living in one room above a pub, drinking myself to death. I've got a nationally renowned recovery-based record label, and I've got a little boy and a beautiful girlfriend, and I'm
amazing, isn't it? Like, so Lisa always does this. She says sobriety gave her everything. Like, and obviously I got sober. Well, not obviously, I got sober after Lisa, but it's so true. Like, my life, it's like what you said before. So whatever you did as a kid on steroids as an adult, but not on steroids, because that wouldn't make you sober. But you know what I mean.
Not really abstinence-based if you're doing steroids, but absolutely. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, even sort of crazy things that I always forget that I learned to drive in recovery. Like, so I I got my first job. I was working for this booking agency, like I say, and I was earning money, and because I wasn't drinking, I was saving, and I didn't know what to do with all this money. So I was just like, maybe I should learn to drive at the age of 37, and I did, and it was like,
wow.
So those little things like that, and it's I've got stuff, and I can go and get stuff. Like, for years, it was like I couldn't afford to buy anything I wanted because I was just like, I need this money for the weekend or whatever. Now it's like, I can just go, and I just booked a holiday to Rome in the summer because I was just like, me and my girlfriend were like, should we go to Italy? I was like, yeah, cool. Let's do it.
It's so true.
I love that part of being sober. I feel like that. Like when I first stopped drinking, I was skint. I was working, living for the weekend, on my ass, single parent to 3 wild teenagers. And I look back now and I think, honestly, like this weekend, I went away in the camper van that I bought in January. January, I had money in my bank to go and buy a camper van in January, and I'm like, so I'm away for the weekend, and I thought, oh my, and I don't ever mean this, and I don't know how to articulate it in not a show off way, because it has all come through sobriety. But sat there in my camper van by a tree with my lovely little dog. I'm now in a lovely relationship. I booked a retreat for myself in May this year, just on a fuck it moment. Yeah, I'll do it. And I'm hosting one in Bali in September. And I sit there sometimes and I'm like, what? Like, how did that happen? How can my life be so different from 7 years ago? And I didn't plan it this way. It's just kind of, that's how it's happened, a bit of a snowball effect of being sober. But sometimes I do sit there and like go, wow, like everything good in my life is because I decided to stop drinking. And it opened, it's not that necessarily that it opens doors. Maybe they were always open, but you see it and you
walk through them.
Opportunities. You go through them. I just think it's incredible. And very much like you, the accountability of having Be Sober is the fact that we've now kind of got to that point where we could never pick up a drink or moderate or like, but that's probably been over the last few years really, really helpful.
Yeah, it's not questionable. You can't sort of even let it enter your mind because it's not part of the new identity.
Yeah.
And both of us will say this, but I think, I don't know, maybe me more. And all my like stuff that I loved as a teenager, the music that my dad taught me, all of that, I had abandoned it. Like I talk about this all the time. It's my favourite thing to do. I play the organ, and I play it in a church now. I would have never, I wouldn't have got up on a Sunday morning. I certainly wouldn't have sat there listening to old people singing hymns, and I wouldn't have been like playing the organ again. I just can't get over how far removed I am. Like I was a teacher that literally went Monday to Friday, brilliant party, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, back to school. That was my life, just round and round the clock for the drink. And now it's like, right, yeah, I'm playing the organ on a Sunday. I work for myself Monday to forever. And, like, it's just, and Be Sober. And the people we meet, yourself included, we would never meet somebody like you who's doing this in our drinking lives. Would we?
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy just hearing you talk about the organ stuff. I mean, it's like, I got my first guitar when I was like 13, I think. Yeah. Joined my first band at 17. And that was me. I loved, music was the love of my life. And then the drink and the drugs came along and that became the love of my life moreover. But I was just thinking, like, when I was 31, I sold all of my equipment because, I was like, I need to pay my rent. I've been drinking too much. And I sold all of my kit. And then when I got sober, must have been sober about 3 or 4 months or so. And I was like, oh yeah, I used to play guitar. Like I used to be quite good. Like, and I went and got on, Facebook Marketplace and found a cheap guitar for about 15 quid. And, now, I mean, thank God my background's all blurred because I've got 5 guitars and more amplifiers and pedals and stuff than you can shake a stick at. But, it's that thing. It's like, and like, I love painting. I've rediscovered a love of writing. Like I write poetry again now, which I used to do. I actually was really good at writing poetry. I won awards at school, and I've started doing that again in sobriety. And I've, things like reading a book Never used to do that. It's crazy. So it's just, I think the gifts of recovery. I mean, I was laughing when you were saying, Lisa, about the camper van, because we went to Scotland for a week in a camper van in January, which was interesting, and then we were back for 2 weeks. Then we went to Malaysia for 2 weeks, and everyone's looking at us going, "You bougie fuckers!" And it was just like, actually,
you know what? I get it.
So why not?
I went away this weekend, like I just said, in the van. And honestly, I got out of my van in Rob will die if I've told everybody this, but in my Crocs and walking socks, right? And I had a Be Sober event on the Sunday. So I had to whiz home, and I looked so campy, like as in with my outfit. Got home, dropped the dog off, jumped in my car. And I was like, you know what? I've just got into my nice Audi convertible, but in this outfit, and it didn't go at all. But I was like, who the fuck do I think I am? I've just brought my camper van off, and now I'm flying over the tops with my roof down. It was so like,
with a sober number plate, a Lisa B number plate.
Yeah, I've got B on the,
that's even more bougie.
Yeah. No, it's a cheap one. It doesn't really say Lisa B, but it kind of nearly looks like the B is BEE, and I've got that on the van as well, but it nearly looks like Sober B, and it nearly looks like Lisa B.
Yeah, it does.
Just
want to go back a little bit of something, because you were saying before about people going on the stage or performing like so many cocktails and shots deep. We were actually talking to a vocal coach earlier it might have been back in the last year actually. She's called Charlotte. She's in she's the vocalist in a band called The Big Strut. They're based in Plymouth, and she was telling us that alcohol really is so bad for your voice. So bad for your voice.
Yeah, completely. Like, this is it.
Dries up all your vocal cords and causes nodules and.
Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, obviously, if you're in a rock band, it can, who cares? But it's like, if you're trying to sing, if you're trying to have a proper vocal, proper warm, rich vocals. I mean, it's obviously cigarettes and smoking are bad, and then but alcohol is terrible for your throat as well. I mean, one thing that Mishkin says, because she's a singer in about 3 different acts, and she was just like, since I've given up, my voice is just so much better. I don't have to strain. I don't have to reach so far for the notes. Like it's just better, and that's the thing. And for me, I mean, I'm not a singer. I'm a bass player and guitarist, but even my ability as a musician has magnified and amplified over the last over the last 8 years.
That's just the clarity, isn't it? And then and
it's meditative as well. This is the beautiful thing, and this is what I tell actually quite a lot of people who are kind of coming into recovery and finding music for the first time, is that I can sit, and I probably will actually after this call, is I'll sit down with the guitar for 10 minutes and I'll just let all of the stress and all the shit of the day go, and I'll just pick up the guitar and I'll just noodle for 10 minutes, and it's just me and like my instrument, my guitar, and just it just goes, and it's a beautiful way of meditating.
You can't think of anything else though, can you, when you're in that moment? And that's the thing, that's why I love doing it. You can, it's like painting or reading. If you're absorbed in it, you can't think of anything else, can you? You just go into it.
Everyone thinks of meditation as this kind of like sit cross-legged lotus position on the floor, light some candles on, and actually I've shared it before with people. I really, really love balling socks, like sorting piles of socks out. I find it really relaxing, really meditative. So it's like Lisa's laughing her head off.
I hate doing that.
That's because you're traumatized from the kids, like I am leaving.
Well, I suppose that's it.
No, but socks actually go through me. Like I don't know why.
Okay.
I always find it weird. So Lisa, right? Lisa was recently taken up playing crystal bowls, sound bowls.
Oh yeah.
And I find that, do they not go through you, Lisa, like brushing the thing next to it? I imagine it to be like...
You've not been to one of my sound baths.
No, I know.
Definitely not go through you.
That's what I mean. No, I mean you doing it. I don't mean the sound of it. The sound of it,
no.
Like you doing it.
No, because I wouldn't be able to do it if it did.
Yeah, I guess so. Oh, imagine the fluffiness being like...
Oh, well, you're really selling it. Thanks. Luckily...
She's apparently amazing at it.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. I'll keep an eye out. I have to come along.
Listen, I have sellout sound baths every single month. They sell out. So I recently did something at the town hall near me, which was absolutely incredible. They asked me to play there. So and I've just got a new gong as well. So I'd taken that, and honestly, the sounds and the acoustics in the town hall, it's all been refurbished. It was absolutely stunning. It was brilliant. It was dead good.
See, I'm quite jealous. I was just thinking, because we do loads and loads of kind of sober events and recovery festivals and stuff, but I'm always working. So when we did the Essex Recovery Festival last year, I did a 17-hour day. But there were things like gong baths and cacao ceremonies and all this stuff.
Yeah.
I never ever get to plug into any of this stuff. I think the closest I got was we were in Bristol and I got a 5-minute neck massage. But that was it. And I'd literally done my shoulder lifting an amplifier the day before. It was the only reason I allowed myself to go and do it. But I never get to do this stuff, and I really should.
Oh, you're going to have to take some time.
Yeah.
Maybe you can record you, Lisa. Maybe you can record your sound bath and put it on a record.
Yeah,
that'd be amazing. Yeah.
Do you know what? I actually bought. I spent a small fortune, because I didn't know what I was doing, on speakers and microphones, so I could actually do some online sound baths. Because I have heard them and they sound amazing, but I don't know how to work any of it, so I can't do it. And I've got it all there, and it's just too much for me trying to work out the sound. But there is something me and Alex have spoken about this, haven't we? And I am dying, because when I did
my sound bath, now.
I know, when I was did my sound bath at the town hall, I looked, and in the big room they'd said, next time can I just tell you, Chris, before she tells you this story, this is the first time that we've told anyone, and now it's going out to everyone. Right? Okay, great. Just so you know, you are witnessing. So fake your wowness if you don't feel it.
All right.
So anyway, I looked down, and she said, would you play down there? And I looked, and there was an organ down there, and I was like, is that a pipe organ? Does that work? Yes, it does. And I was like, oh my God. So after I did this sound bath, it was really weird, because I did feel that I had a little bit of an experience at the town hall where I was, and I was like, this has got to be something. So I rang Alex afterwards, and I was like, me and you, nothing exists like this. Your organ playing, my sound bath and gongs, we could do the most incredible, immersive sound experience for people ever. And I've looked, and nobody else does it. Nobody else does anything like it. And with her talent, and I just thought a fusion of like the history of the organ and like the religious aspect of it, mixed with kind of like the crystal sound balls and the gong and the everything kind of fused together, and the energy that I think. So this is my idea, Chris.
I should so introduce you to Mishkin, because Mishkin's about to train to be a breathwork coach, and this sounds like meld into that in such a beautiful way. Definitely, So, interesting.
Yeah,
stuff.
like how good would that be? And I'm thinking we could go to do like the big cathedrals with the organ,
want a light show.
Sound. We want a light show. Yeah, the whole. But honestly, I'm so excited about it. And Alex was like, her first question was, "Have you not had your ADHD tablets?"
Nice. Or maybe you should take them.
But my second question was, where, when, how? I'm so like black and white. Like I'm not, even though I'm creative as in I can play music, I'm not creative as in a big thinker. Lisa's the big thinker, and I not that she isn't, I kind of can do things if I'm told what to do. Does that make sense? I have to have instructions.
Yeah.
Well, we've got our first gig at the town hall, but we've not even practiced together. And this is why when she's looking at me going, "Did the sound balls not go through you?" I'm thinking, "Fuck you! You're not going to be my organ player if you carry on."
That's it. You're out of the band. That's it.
100% of it.
The differences already.
Oh, we've had them for years. Honestly, we've got to this point though. We're doing well. We've known each other for too many years to talk about, haven't we, Lise?
Yeah. No, I'm excited. I think we can create something really, really special. Really special. Yeah. And not just like the same bath, but something more like a proper experience. She's laughing because I keep saying immersive.
If she says to me...
It's the buzzword in events at the moment. So everyone you talk to, it's immersive events. So yeah, I think.
Really? Right. See, I didn't even know. Yeah. I must have subconsciously picked up on that from other stuff.
Yeah. People want to experience immersive stuff. It's it's the thing at the moment. There's a big immersive Tutankhamun exhibition at the ExCeL at the minute. So yeah, it's everything's immersive these days.
See, just got, like big cathedrals, church buildings, town halls.
Well, we'll probably need the same guy, Chris, because I don't know what I'm doing.
Sounding right. It's my raison d'etre.
And because of my musical kind of like doing the sound balls and the gong and stuff like that, it's all intuitive playing, a lot of it. So when we're talking about it, I was saying to Alex, right, when we get dead famous, you're going to have to do all the interviews because I'll be like, I'll ding here and dong there. I said, you'll have to do all that like proper talk about it.
Yeah, but then Marv, we've got a friend because he wrote we've got a friend who owns a recording studio and starting with a record label, and he's wrote the podcast intro and outro music, and we got him involved, and he started talking to me about chord progressions and numbers and tuning and stuff, and even I was going, What you on about? It was a bit scary, that meeting, wasn't it, Lise?
I didn't listen to any of it.
To be fair, I'm the same. I mean, I completely. I had like 6 months of lessons when I was about 14, and I've just taught myself the whole way through. And it's like I sit with Mishkin, and we're doing these songwriting workshops, and she's all like circular fifths and major progressions and and I'm like, no. I can tell you what sounds good. I can tell you what works, but I can't tell you why it works. Like no theory whatsoever. So yeah, but I think that's the kind of.
That's good to know. That is so good to know that you do that and don't. Because honestly, when these two were talking, I was like, I had no clue what.
No, neither did I, Lisa. Though, so you just weren't listening to me. Like I kept going, don't know what you're talking about. Don't know what you're talking about.
No, I'd gone. I'd have been planning something else. Well, I'm just going like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
She was probably writing her ads for Be Sober.
Yeah, probably. Right. We don't want to keep you too long, but I have got one last question for you. Mm-hmm. If you could collaborate with any artist now, living or not, who would it be and why?
Oh my word. Oh, that's such a huge question. What, as in working on Not Saints? I mean, God.
Yeah.
It would just have to be Amy.
I knew you were going to say that, yeah.
I just think, just when she had that period of sobriety and she was just so on fire and she was just, and then God rest her, that happened. And I just think, it would have just been an incredible moment. We have some great connections through the label with people who are in recovery, but I think just Amy would have been, I think, quite a standout moment for us. If we could have ever made it happen. And I know Jane really well, Jane Winehouse really well. We see each other at events, and it's and we have quite an affinity. She understands what we do. We know what the Winehouse Foundation are about, and I think it would have been a beautiful thing. But unfortunately, we were just way too late on that one. So
yeah, it gave me goose pimples. That.
It might sound really corny, and it's not meant to do, but it's like what you're doing is making sure there is an Amy of the future, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
A successful comes out of the other side, Amy. Do you know what I mean?
That's what we try and do. I mean, I also do sort of part-time teaching with some music colleges and stuff as well. And quite often I talk about the label by way of my introduction to the students. And it's like, these are the people we've lost, and this is the life that this is the route you can take, or you can choose to do things differently and put yourself first and put your artistry first before anything else. And that's the thing. And for young people, it is a trap. I mean, I hear a lot of kids kind of going, oh yeah, but we're going to get paid in beer. And it's like, don't value your art by how much alcohol you get. Value your art on your endeavor. Like value it on your time, how much of yourself you're putting into it. And then add a price to that, because that's where the value comes in. Too many years of the industry has been built on like, let's just keep people dumb by giving them booze and drugs, and let's and the party and celebration and aren't we wonderful, and it's just like, let's actually find value in the human being and in the creative endeavor. So, yeah.
It's a great way to end. Make sure you send us the links that you want us to include in the write-up, and we'll pop them on the notes. But like when we say send it, we mean like now, because we do things now.
Okay. Okay.
Can we just ask that, actually, if there is people listening that want to work with you, how do they get in touch with you?
Sure. So if you want to get a hold of me directly, so if you've got an inquiry about anything we've talked about on the show, so it's chris@notsaints.co.uk. And if you are just interested in anything we do as the label, so our web address is notsaints.co.uk, and our handle on all social media is @notsaintsuk.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm glad we finally got there.
No, me too. Can you hang on for a second at the end, and we'll just say bye-bye, and then we'll just give you a couple of those contacts that I told you about.
Of course, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for coming on, Chris.
So much, Chris.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into our podcast. We really do appreciate your support. So to stay updated with our latest episodes, be sure to follow or subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to share the Be Sober love with your friends, helping us reach even more people. If you're interested in learning more about the impactful work we do, or you want to become part of our incredible Be Sober community, visit our website at besoberofficial.com. There you'll find all the information you need and discover how you can get involved. We look forward to welcoming you into our community of change makers. Until next time, be brave, be kind,
and be sober!